Welcome to the Dash Mindset Podcast. I'm Sherry Zievenbergen. You were born, you're gonna die, and your adventure is your dash in between. So make the most of it. Unlock your potential in all aspects of your dash by embracing your uniqueness and living in a way that's authentic to you, not by doing more things, but by focusing on the right things. I'm a former corporate leader turned coach who's on my own journey, and I'm passionate about helping you on your journey too. So on the podcast, we'll explore how to live authentically by deciphering who you truly are and what you truly want. Are you ready to take a step toward designing your dash? Someday doesn't actually exist, so let's do it now. Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here at the Dash Mindset Podcast. Today, I'm excited to introduce Laura Bratton to you. Laura has an amazing story. She's been leading an amazing life. And so I'm so excited for her to share her journey with you. And you are just going to so enjoy Laura and her lovely Southern accent. I got to throw that out there, Laura. I love it every time. So Laura, thank you so much for being here. I would love for you to tell us what you do, who you help. Tell us a little about your story. I'll let you just take it from there.
So what I do professionally is I'm a speaker, an author, and a coach. And all of my work, the speaking, the coaching, the reason I wrote a book was to provide tools and resources that we can use as we go through major change, as we experience that life change that we weren't expecting, that life change that just changes our whole world. Somehow we have to develop resiliency. Somehow we have to develop the ability and the mindset to move forward. And the reason that I speak on that and coach on that and wrote a whole book on it was because of my life experience. So I was diagnosed with a very, very, very rare eye disease. Even now in my 40s, it doesn't have an exact diagnosis. So when I was a teenager in those high school years, I lost all of my sight. So by the time I graduated from high school, I have what I have now, just light perception, absolutely no usable vision or shadows, just a little light perception. So clearly that's a major change to go, you're sighted in the sighted world to you're not sighted, still in a sighted world. So I had to figure out, how do I navigate forward? How do I keep going? And for me, what I discovered was it was the power of grit and the power of gratitude balanced together that empowered me to move forward then. And still, I use those resources every single day.
That is amazing. I mean, Laura, when I met you, I just thought, the things that we struggle with on a daily basis that feel like they're just, that they alter our world and feels like, oh, I can't move beyond this. And to think about what you have experienced and what you have worked through, that's why I wanted to share this with other people, because you're just such an inspiration. So can you tell us a little bit about your experience and how it started? Because you were 9 at the time. Is that right? When you discovered that you had this eye disease, or did I come up with that on my own?
So yes, that's when there was the diagnosis of, yes, there's a major problem going on with your retinas. You will lose your sight. But all the doctors could tell, obviously a 9-year-old tell me, but more so tell my parents, it's probably going to be in her 40s and her 60s. It's going to be way down the road. So no one was expecting or prepared for it's going to be in her teenage years. Nobody knew that was coming, or that wasn't the timeline. So people always ask me, oh, did you and your family prepare for this and go on all these trips and do the countdown? No, because there was no timeline. There was no prediction. There was no hint that it would happen this early. So the fact that it happened to me in a perfectly healthy teenager is incredibly rare, and no one expected it.
And so what were some of the symptoms that you were experiencing that led your parents to taking you to the doctor at age 9? And the reason I'm getting so specific about this is, when we think about the things that we feel like, oh, maybe I shouldn't pay attention to that, things that we have a tendency to ignore in life. What led your parents to taking you to the doctor, and how did that
day go? I know you, I'm
Yes.
asking partially one of the reasons why I'm asking is because I know you ended up going to Starbucks that day. So I just think that's a funny part of the story. So go ahead.
Yes, that is so true, and that so frames the whole mindset conversation,
Right.
so I'm so glad you said that. So, yeah, my dad started noticing, hey, when he and I would go out to the golf course and play golf, I wasn't tracking the ball as well. If it wasn't a perfect clear day, I was nothing major, but he just noticed that's not what she was doing last week. And then my
Hmm.
mom she's now a retired teacher. Being a teacher, she was very keen on where I should be at what reading level. And so she noticed at night when we're reading books, I would just bring the book closer to my face than normal. So as they each on their own notice these slight changes, they just assumed we'll take her to the doctor and get a cute little pair of glasses of
Hmm.
contacts. No big deal. This is just kind of a normal kid thing. She's nearsighted, farsighted, whatever. They just assumed it would stop there. It was that appointment where the doctor looked at me and said, there's a major problem going on at her retinas. I have to refer her. And so that one appointment led to a summer of doctor's appointments. And what you're referring to, that ended up I worked with a pediatric retinal specialist at Emory in Atlanta, and that was where they could say, "Yes, absolutely," through all the blood work, the MRIs, the EKGs, everything that they looked at my brain and my eyes, there is definitely something going on with her rods, with her cones that will eventually lead to blindness. Again, they thought it was way down the road. So my parents, we left that appointment with this life-changing news of your daughter's going blind. No, we don't know when, but she is. And literally, as we're walking out of the door, I mean, we're still in the parking garage. I vividly remember because it was super hot. It's August in Atlanta. So,
In Atlanta.
and you're in the parking garage. So, it's hot and humid. And, my parents can barely hold it together to walk at this point, right? Like to find their car. What kind of car do we drive here?
Right.
And I look at them like, can we go to Starbucks and get a peach tea? And they're just like, oh my God, I can barely breathe right now. My whole life just flashed and changed before us. And all you care about is being in Atlanta to get a peach tea where there's now a Starbucks. You know what I mean? But that was truly my mindset as a 9-year-old. I heard the news just like my parents did, but all I could process is I can see now. So what are you guys worried about?
Right.
I cognitively, that's where my 9-year-old mind, yes, it received that news, but not emotionally.
Right. And
Right.
how could you even process it as a 9-year-old? Or
Right.
how could your parents even process it as
Right.
adults? I mean,
Right.
it's just interesting how different your reactions were given 9-year-old versus adults,
Yes.
and neither
Adults,
one of
'cause
no one could
right.
process it.
Right, I was gonna say they're just numb, just, like,
Right.
in shock, and there I am, and then my brother who's 5 years older, of course, he was with us because 'cause I'm 9 and, he's, like, 13 or 14 or whatever, and he's, like, throwing the football around, my dad's like, "Oh my god, don't break
Right.
that window of the car." So you've got, 3 totally different dynamics. My parents in shock, my brother throwing a football around in a garage, getting ready to break a car window, and I'm
Right.
asking for a peach tea.
What is happening? Okay, so
Exactly.
it started to happen earlier throughout your
Yes.
teenage years, and it
Yes.
happened in phases, right? Can you tell us a little bit
Yes.
about that?
So what I mean by phases is one day I could read large print, and then the next day I could not read large print. One day, and I mean this very literal, I still remember this. One day I could go to my locker and do the combination where you've got to match up the numbers with the little white arrow or whatever. I could see that perfectly fine, and the next week I couldn't. And then it would stay the same for about a year, and then a year later, I could see the curb on the sidewalk, or I could see the stairwell in the school, but I couldn't tell you was it 6 inches or 6 feet. So that's what I mean by in stages. And I would adapt, and we would all think, okay, this is where it's going to be for 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
This is where it's going to be for 35 years. We never thought, okay, in 2 years, it's going to be worse, or 18 months. There was never that prediction or that timeline. So it's a constant grief process because you're grieving what you lost, you're adjusting to it, and then boom, 18 months later, you're grieving again what you just lost.
Right. And I mean, just to think about that stage in life, how challenging that stage of life is anyway,
Right.
and all the changes you're going through anyway. And then all of a sudden you can't see your locker combination.
Yes.
So how were you feeling throughout that? And how did you work through it?
How I was feeling was deep, deep anxiety that manifested in constant panic attacks. Like the feeling where you just can't get your breath. A lot of people describe it as like the elephant on your chest. The extreme panic attacks. At the same time, it was extreme depression. Am I worthy? What's my purpose? This is too much. I don't want to do that. I don't want to have to adapt. I don't want to move on. I just want to be a normal teenage girl. So it was extreme anxiety at the same time as extreme depression. And all that was obviously fueled by the intense grief. The grief of, I'm grieving two things. I'm grieving what I'm losing. Yes, I'm grieving my vision, but also equally as difficult, I'm grieving the normal teenage experience. I'm grieving that. And this sounds trivial, but when you're a teenager, it's the end of the world. I'm
Yeah.
grieving that all my friends can stay up and pull an all-nighter and study for that exam and get a really good grade in that AP class and be totally fine. I have to start studying 3 weeks before the exam
Right.
just because of the time it takes me to read. Not the processing part, just the physical part of reading the amount of material. So it was all, and again, like projects in school and things that they can do fun and get together and have, spend the night parties and again, pull all nighters and drink Coke all night and eat Oreos. And I have to have a teacher teaching me Braille and then adapting the print into Braille. So it was all those, that's what I mean by the normal markers, all those normal teenage experiences that now adults don't seem like a big deal
Hmm.
is a huge deal as a teenager.
Well, and
So
I
I
think,
was grieving that normalcy.
yeah, and I don't think that's trivial at all. And I mean, it's interesting is even, especially as adults, we have a tendency to look back and think, oh, well, that's
Right.
not a big deal because it's not to
Right.
us anymore
Right.
because we've
Right.
survived it, we've lived through it.
Survived
But
it.
it
Yes.
is absolutely not trivial at the time. So
Right. At the time.
even
Yes.
even if you hadn't been going through and experiencing what you were experiencing, if there had been a different reason, like, oh, you had gotten mono or something, right? That's
Right.
still not
Right.
trivial. It's
Right.
still not
Exactly.
trivial. That's a big deal.
Exactly.
That's the experience you think you're supposed to have at that stage in life.
Exactly.
So okay. So at what point did you get to the point where you really could not see and you had to completely kind of overhaul your um approach to life?
That was definitely by the end of high school. So by the end of high school, I had to make the decision, okay, is it going to be cane or is it going to be guide dog so that I can physically move forward in life? To circle back to what I was saying about the anxiety, the depression, the grief, the only way that I made it through, the only way I survived, and I mean that very literal. I don't mean that like cliche, like, oh, yeah, the only way I survived. The reason I was able to work through that depression is because of the support and the community around me.
Mhm.
So as I was deeply depressed, as I was so anxious and literally in constant panic attacks every day, so heavily medicated, anxiety medicine, depression medicine, sleep medicine. Well, that makes you a zombie. Combine all that,
Yeah.
because my body, as my hormones are developing, right? So my body's just being pumped with all these antidepressants. I'm just walking around as a zombie. It was only the support around me that as they showed through their actions they believed in me, that's when I was able to say, "Oh, that's kinda weird. I don't believe in myself, but they believe in me. Like,
Mhm.
I don't believe I have a future, but that's weird. They think I do." And so what I mean by there, like, again, that's easy to say cliche, but very practical examples when I was so panicked on, "Oh my gosh, do I get a guide dog? Do I get a cane? How am I gonna go to college?" And so overwhelmed with all the future, my parents would say every day, "Let's just focus on today. If you
Mm.
you need to get up and get to class on time, or you're not gonna get through that calculus class, and then if you don't get through the
Yeah.
calculus class, you're not gonna graduate." So, I say all that to say, they taught me the power of living in the moment when we're experiencing major trauma or any type of change. Living in the moment is our survival. And what I wanna highlight, because I did not believe this then, but thankfully I've learned it's true now, living in the moment in times of change is enough.
Oh,
Like,
that's
you and
so good.
I
I feel like we could just end the call. That's yeah, beautiful. Okay, sorry, go ahead.
you and I, we laugh all the time about us being type A people and just the hilariousness of that, right? And so it feels like we always feel like we're not doing enough. Just like we're
Right.
laughing on being on calls and multitasking at the same time. Like, I gotta do more. We always feel like we're not doing enough. In times of change, in times of grief, in times of transition, living in the moment, waking up, getting a shower, eating breakfast, if that's all you accomplish for the day, that's enough. And so that's the
Oh,
gift
wow.
I want you and I to give everyone who listens. Whatever change you're going through, whatever you're doing that day, that's enough. And take that pressure off yourself to accomplish more, 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 more to then say you're enough.
Oh, that's so good, Laura. And I'm thinking about too, just how hard it is for teenagers to believe their parents anyway, just on a
Yes.
normal day, right? Like,
Yes.
oh, calculus does actually matter because to a teenager, well, and now to me as an adult too, it's like, but does it?
Yeah, that's a whole nother episode.
And so how how did they I, I'm not sure how exactly to word this. How did they get you to believe them?
Only pure survival.
Mm,
I will tell you, and they will tell you. I was like, "No, that's weird." Like, and I
That's just not right.
totally, yeah, I resisted. I was like, "What do you mean get to school on time is enough for the day?" Like, I thought they were strange for thinking that. I didn't believe that. I didn't want to believe them. I was like that angry, sad teenager, but it was only I had no other option at that point. It was like
Hmm.
life just absolutely forced me to believe it, because what I'm doing on my own is not working. It's leading to panic attacks and not being able to get out of bed. I'm so depressed. So maybe let me try this moment by moment thing. So that's a great question. I'm so glad you asked that, because it was I didn't believe them. It was only out of survival. Every other option was not working. So it was not, I
Hmm.
don't, again, thank you for saying that, because I don't want to paint this picture. It was like this happy, "Oh, parents, I believe you. That's a great idea." It was not the Southern Leave It to Beaver moment. Like, I was angry. I didn't want to go to school. They were trying to get out the door and get to their jobs while taking care of their aging parents, while taking care of my brother, living out his dream of going to a D1 school, playing football. There's a million things going on, taking care of our
Hmm.
lab. Like, there's a million things going on at one time, right? So
Yeah.
I don't want to paint the picture. It was like this rosy, we were all in agreement. But it was if I wanted to live, I had to try their way.
Yeah. Oh, I love that you're also, I mean, all the things you're describing, because sometimes it feels like, okay, if life could just stop for a minute, then I could figure out this problem. Right? Even when it
Literally, we said
comes
that.
to relatively small things, right? And life continued. I mean, your parents were taking care of their parents. I mean, your
Of
brother
their
was
parents.
interested in a football career, all these things.
The
And I
dog's throwing up,
trust,
the yard's gotta get,
yes,
the
oh
grass
my
has gotta
gosh.
get cut. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
that
Like,
still
yeah,
happens, right?
you go out to start your car when you're running late and the battery doesn't start. You know, it's still
Yeah.
all the life stuff is still going on.
Right. You couldn't just put everything on pause. No one could.
Right.
And I suspect there were some days when you found your parents to be more believable than others.
Oh, 100%.
So did they suddenly just like, oh, we won Laura over. She believes us. And now we can move on. How did that go?
No. It it was it was honestly, again, that circles back to it was survival, and so each moment kinda built on itself. And again, because it was such a huge transition, there was also this mentality of the 4 of us have to band together or this child's not gonna survive.
Hmm.
So it was almost like, again, I didn't have a choice. And I wanna give another example, well, actually 2, if I can, that
Yeah.
perfectly illustrate. I mean, I went through all high school thinking my parents and my brother were the meanest people on the planet.
Yeah.
Because they just would not back down on the "We believe in you. You're not victim." And I thought they were mean. So the story that I still talk about and I laugh about with them, and my parents do not remember the situation. One night my mom said, "Okay, Laura, I need you to unload the dishwasher." So in my brilliant teenage mind, I said, "Oh, I've got this blindness figured out. I know what I'm gonna do. Anything I don't wanna do in life, I'm just gonna say I'm blind, I can't do it." So I said, like she had no clue, "Oh, mom, I'm going blind. There's no way I can unload the dishwasher." And remember, I said she was a teacher. That's a huge part of the story. She looked at me in the doorway of the kitchen and said, "Laura Bratton, in the South, that means you're in trouble." For those of you in the other part of the world, Laura Bratton, unload the dishwasher. And she turned to walk down the hall. Meanwhile, my dad's in the den hearing this whole conversation and doesn't jump up and come to the rescue. He keeps doing his business or whatever he's doing on the computer and doesn't like save me and be like, "Oh, honey, I'll get your brother to unload the dishwasher." So, of course, I put the knives and forks and spoons as loud as I could, and the dishwashers were very mad, banging
As
them
you
in
would,
there,
yeah,
you
as
know?
teenagers do.
Of course. And I'm so mad, like, "Oh my gosh, you're so mean." In hindsight, there's no greater gift my parents could have given me because what they taught me is we believe in you. You have meaning and purpose. Yes, it's going to take you longer to unload the dishwasher. Yes, you might mix up a spoon with a fork. That's not the point. The point is, with accommodations, you can keep going in life. With accommodations, you have meaning and purpose in this world. So they were teaching me, no, you figure it out and you figure out the accommodations you need to keep moving forward. If they had said, "Oh, you're right, let me go get your brother," I would have said, "Oh, my idea worked. Whatever I don't want to do in life,
Hmm.
I'm just going to blame it on the blindness and I can be victim the rest of my life." That situation was a game changer, and the gift is they honestly, to their core, do not remember that situation, and it literally I still is in my 40s remember it and wrote that story in my book. Like, it
Oh my
was
gosh.
that powerful for me, and yet they don't even remember it happened. Neither one of them.
Right.
They're like, "What are you talking about?" So, I share that to say as we go through change, as we go through grief, as we go through transition, yes, it's hard. Yes, it's traumatizing. And It cannot be our victim card. It cannot be the card that we use to say, oh, my gifts in this world don't matter anymore.
Hmm. And it's so interesting too, Laura. I mean, it makes complete sense, really, given how our brains work. But the fact that your parents and brother were telling you they believed in you to the core, that they were certain you had a purpose and you had meaning and something to offer the world. Those are the people who you thought were the meanest people on the planet, right? Because they weren't
Literally.
allowing you to cling
Yes.
to your victimhood. Because
Right.
sometimes that just sounds so comfortable. Like, oh, but please just let me
Yes.
be a victim. That's what we
Right.
think we want people to do sometimes.
Right. Just
But what do you
yeah, and
think?
I
Go
remember
ahead.
screaming to them, just like, "Let me feel sorry. Don't you feel sorry for me?" I was truly
Yeah.
mad at them because they didn't feel sorry for me. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I like you said, that would make life easier for me, but they knew in the long run, that wasn't going to be easier for me. I would not be the person I am today if they had been like, "Oh, honey, just don't let the dishwasher. I'll get your brother to do it, or I'll do it." And that they laugh and like, "Well, actually, that would have been easier for us in the present, in the real
Right.
time."
Yeah. So what do you think that I mean, how I can't even imagine how hard this is for you to put into words. I mean, how would you even know? But if they were to have done that, what do you think your life would be like now? Do you think that I mean, how do you think it
Oh,
would be different?
I think about this, uh, I was getting ready to say every day, but that's an exaggeration, but extremely, let's definitely say once a week, if not
Yeah.
more. I would be at home living with family members, not believing in myself, doing absolutely no job in the world, no profession, doing absolutely nothing, just taking up space. I mean, true, and I mean that
Mm,
very, very literal. The intense depression and anxiety, it was so deep, I was just ready to shut down.
mhm.
So I 100% can say without a doubt, I am who I am, and I am using my gifts because of the support and the community believing in me.
That's so amazing. And I love that your parents said too, well, yeah, it was hard for us in the moment too.
Right, right. They were like,
It's
"Yeah, it
not
would have been
like
so much easier for me to unload the dishwasher in
yeah,
30 seconds while you're talking on the phone," like, while you're doing 4 other things, right? Like, it would have been
right.
much easier on us. Like, and they say, "Yes, we want to cry with you. Yes, we want to pity you. Yes, we want to feel sorry for you and baby you and coddle you and hold your hand and all, walk your hand hold your hand through life." But they knew that would not benefit me in the future.
Mhm. Mhm. Oh, wow. I just love your story. And what strong people. And the fact that your brother was there too, being just as mean as your
Yeah, so
parents, and he was there throughout that.
I have to tell his mean story because I think this puts our humanity in perspective, and it absolutely ties back to what you say if we miss some of the small things in life, but they're so life-changing. So, being 5 years older, his friends are 5 years older, right? They're boys, they're rough, they're tough, they're literally in the backyard, playing football, they're in the driveway playing basketball. I'm right there with him, and he would say to all his friends, "Don't go easy on her. Like, don't give her a free shot. Like, don't feel sorry for her. Don't help her out. Like, if she wants to play the game with us, she's gonna play at our level." I'm losing my sight.
Yeah.
I'm like, "Oh my god, y'all just give me a free shot?" I thought they were so mean because they weren't giving me a break. Again, what that normalcy was teaching me was, we believe in you, you believe in yourself. Because once again, if they had all stood on one side of the driveway and said, "Okay, yay, Laura, you're such a good basketball player. Okay, stand right here and shoot this way, and
Mhm.
you'll absolutely get a 3-pointer." I would have been like, "Okay, everybody's gonna go out of their way to help me and make me succeed and clap for me, and it's all gonna be all hunky dory." And again, that would have taught me victim.
Mhm.
That would have taught me pity. But what their actions of normalcy taught me was, we believe in you, figure out how to believe in yourself. So that's what I want to say to all of us going through change. Notice the how people around you are continuing to treat you normal. Not normal like they're ignoring your needs, but just normal like they love you for being that annoying little sister.
Yeah.
Because that's who I was. I still made fun of them and picked on them and drove them crazy, you know? So, but that normalcy was so healing to me as I look back, not in the meantime, but as I look back, because they were saying, you still have gifts, you still have purpose, you still have meaning. So that's what I mean by I thought my brother was so mean to me, yet I
Mhm.
realized he was teaching me resiliency. He was teaching me to believe in myself, even when life is really, really hard.
You were still Laura, his annoying little sister, not
Right.
Laura, my annoying little
Right.
sister, who's also losing her sight.
Right. Not, "Oh, Laura, my cute little sister,"
Right.
right? It was like, "Oh my god, it's still her."
It's still her. Yeah.
And she's still annoying. She
Right,
still won't
right,
stop
right.
talking, which is why I'm a speaker.
Okay, so tell us about Laura, tell us about what you do now, how you help people and how you share your story. What's the story that you share and how do you inspire people? I mean, clearly you're an inspiration, you have been this entire call, but you have all these gifts. What are tell us more about how you share those.
So, as I went through college and grad school and started my profession, I realized, "Oh, yeah, wait, maybe this is not a typical experience to become blind and still move forward and still accomplish all these goals." What were the threads? What helped me survive? What got me through? Why am I still here doing what I'm doing? And that's when I realized it was grit and gratitude, and not just one or the other, but the two in balance, in tandem, constantly. So that's what I speak on and empower other people to do is not talk about the blindness, but talk about, okay, how do you apply grit in your life? How do you develop the courage that you need in a situation your business is going through, in a change, a difficulty that you're experiencing with your leadership team or in your management or with your employees? And then at the same time, and what I've worked with so many CEOs on, how do you empower people through gratitude? How do you learn to appreciate the gifts that the leaders, the employees bring to your company? So, through this experience, I've reflected on what got me through. It was those two resources. Let me go use those two resources to empower people. And I'll give you a perfect lived example. I just had a speaking engagement last week and I received an email thanking me the next day, or like 2 days later. And in her email, she never mentioned blindness. She never mentioned my trauma. She never mentioned me. All she said was, "Thank you so much for coming and empowering us and teaching us how, in our profession, as doctors, as physicians, we can apply grit and we can apply gratitude."
Oh, wow.
And that was her whole email. And then, obviously, thank you, bitches, blah, blah.
Right.
But she never mentioned me. It was all about the resources I could give to them. And I just sat there and cried. And I was like, that's the point of my work.
Mhm.
It's not about me. It's not about the blindness. It's about what I've learned to survive the blindness and then let me go and empower other people.
And, you mentioned earlier when you're talking about the belief your parents and your brother had in you, and that it sounds cliche. And I think when you know, a lot of us, I mean, we hear these words, grit and gratitude. And it's like, oh, you should have a gratitude journal and you
Right.
should just be grateful for what you have and blah, blah, blah. And when you're going through those moments, those hard moments, and we all have they're all different
Yes.
moments,
Yes.
but they're a big deal. Um, sometimes hearing that stuff is like, you just want to slap somebody and say, like,
Right.
you don't get it. Like like, you don't get it. I'm blind. I can't do the dishwasher,
Right.
right? If,
Right. Right.
I mean, how, how do you help people see that? Okay, yeah, it sounds cliche, but truly, it is about grit and gratitude. How do you help them see that?
Validate their reality. I cannot say enough. It's validating exactly where we are. So someone just lost, I'm just totally making this up hypothetically. Someone just lost a spouse unexpected, didn't see it coming. It wasn't like a long-term illness, just lost a spouse suddenly. I'm not going to say, hey, be grateful, have grit,
Right.
get over it. What I am going to say is feel your pain, sit with the tears, sit with the anger, sit with the shock, validate your emotions. Your emotions are real. And once you sit with that and let the emotions be raw and you sit there for a while, then the grit is choosing to move forward. The gratitude is choosing to have the mindset that focuses on what you have that helps you move through the grief process. So it's not saying, be strong, have grit, sweep it all under the rug or, be grateful all the time, right? It's saying validate your emotions, sit in those emotions. And then when the time, that's the gift of working with people one-on-one, when you're ready, and obviously we discover that through the one-on-one work time, then helping you shift to that mindset of, okay, what am I grateful for in this horrible situation that helps me keep going? That's the power of grit. That's the power of gratitude. Not saying get over it, move on, be strong. It's saying validate your pain,
Hmm.
acknowledge your pain, because that's how we heal. And that's how we have a mindset that allows us to move forward. Because and I speak from my own experience, we don't acknowledge our panic attack, we can't address it. True story. In those high school years, I told my mom I didn't need to see a therapist and I didn't need to be on medicine because I was totally fine.
Yeah, yeah. I'm sure you were.
As I'm laying in bed with a panic attack and so depressed, I'm saying, I'm totally fine. I'm not going on medicine and I'm not seeing a therapist because I wasn't allowing myself to acknowledge the pain.
Hmm.
Girl, you're so depressed. You're crying yourself to sleep at night.
And when we're in that state, too, it's because we just think, oh, I should be this way. I should be strong. I
Yeah,
should have grit. And it's but really our
exactly.
suffering, so much of our suffering is the difference between what is and what we think should be.
And thank you for saying that because that circles back to the enough. We think we should be doing more. We think we should be better.
Hmm.
No, the reality is we are who we are. We're going through what we're going through.
And sometimes it really sucks.
Yeah, and that's okay. We don't have to push through that and get over it and be happy and cheery and smiley. Sometimes it's okay if we need to cry all day.
Did you So, okay, so a lot of my life, I was just shoving all this stuff down because I thought, well, that's what you're supposed to do, right? Like,
Right.
you're just, if you ignore the feelings, they
Yes.
just
Yes.
eventually go away. I mean,
Yes.
that was my thought process. And I was just working with a client a couple days ago, and I love analogies. And I was sharing how now it's clear to me because now I'm in my 50s. So finally it became clear that it's kind of like if you're in a pool and you have all these beach balls and you're trying to shove them under the water and
Mhm.
keep them under the water. Like that takes effort. Yet in the moment, it seems like, well, this is what I have to do. And this is
Right.
easier than just letting the beach balls be,
Right.
right?
Be.
So
Right.
how did you work through that? How did you and not again, it's not like one day all of a sudden, Laura, oh,
Right.
you have it
Right.
figured out. This is how you're going to
Right.
live your life.
Right.
But I
Right.
mean, how did your mom even get you to the doctor and get you to talk to a therapist? Because it's when you're in that place where it's like, no, I'm just supposed to shove everything down. I'm fine. And you really believe in that moment that you are fine, right?
Right.
It's not like
That's the point. I'm so glad you said that. You really do believe you're fine, right? It's like, no, I can just hide all this panic attack and depression. Well, how's that
yeah,
working for you? You know?
right.
Again, I did it out of stubbornness. Well, I don't need it, but you make one appointment, I'll go to one appointment. So it's like
Mm,
somewhere inside, it was like I knew that I needed it. I just don't want to admit it. Okay, I'll go to one appointment. And then after the first appointment, well, okay, she talked about a series of 5 appointments. Let's just go ahead and book all, take
yeah.
that series. So it was like, deep down, I knew it, but I didn't want to let myself know it. Does that make sense? I was like,
Yeah.
instinctually, I knew it, but I didn't want to physically talk about it.
Yeah.
When I did, and I love, love, love that beach ball analogy. I'm totally going to think about that. When I did realize that beach ball analogy was after college, after grad school, even a couple years in a profession, I went to a therapist and she said, Laura, I want you to go home and the next time you're anxious, and I'm like, well, that'll be as soon as I walk in the door, lady.
What do you mean? Can I just come right back in the
I was
door or
going
do
to
I have to make an
say,
appointment?
actually, that'll be 3 seconds from now. She said, when you feel anxious, I want you to sit down and I want you to turn towards it for 5 minutes. And when you do that, the anxiety will decrease. And I looked at her and rolled my eyes like, oh my gosh, how do you have your license? Your
I need to
license
call
needs,
somebody.
yeah, I need to call somebody in, and your license needs to be taken away from you this moment. I don't want another human to sit on your couch or because like that's the craziest thing I've ever heard. The anxiety's gonna get bigger, lady. I know what I'm talking about. I went home. Of course, the anxiety happened. I sat down. I turned towards it, and I didn't have a panic attack. The anxiety didn't go away, but it didn't explode into a panic attack. It exploded
Mhm.
into I could control it through breathing. And I'm like, oh my gosh, she's right. Oh my gosh. Right. So what if when I feel sad, when I feel angry, when I feel all these emotions, I just turn towards them rather than your analogy of a beach ball, push them down, push them down, push down, which really doesn't work, right? Because it pops back up.
Mhm.
You focus on the sadness and there comes the anger, right? Like, because you push one down, the other pops up. And that's how I realized maybe I don't need to stuff it down, swallow it. Maybe there's deep, intense healing on when the emotion comes up, turn towards it and let the tears come, let the anxiety come, let the anger come. And that's when the grit comes in. Then choose to still keep going, not to just sit there the rest of the day in that anger,
Right.
but
It's
to
so
say, I'm feeling anger. And so, what resources am I going to use?
it's so interesting how in our attempt to avoid it, we're actually feeling more of it.
Extreme. Yes, I look back now, and obviously, it's not like I could change it. Yes, I'd change it if I could, but as a teenager, it was what it was at the time. But yes, the energy I put saying, no, mom, I'm not having a panic attack. No, yeah, yes, friends, I'm totally fine. If I could just say, mom, I'm in panic, friends, I need your help. Oh my gosh, the healing would have come in high school. The emotional healing would have
Yeah.
come in high school. Truly, yeah, you are so right. We make the suffering worse.
And what's interesting too, Laura, is that you wanted people's help, but at the same time, you said you didn't need any help.
Exactly.
And we're so
Exactly.
confusing. Just humans, we're so confusing.
Yes. Yes. Because we think help is weakness. Just like you said a
Yeah.
minute ago, I'm not supposed to be sad. I'm supposed to be okay. I'm not supposed to need help.
It was almost as if you wanted people's help, but you wanted them to tell
Right.
you, "Hey,
Exactly.
you are clearly
Exactly.
weak and it's okay because you're
And
losing your sight." But for you to admit that
yes.
you were weak, that's
Right.
a different story.
100. You just said it perfectly. Yeah. Yes. I will listen to that 10 times over. Yes, that
Okay,
is so
let's see. What did I
true.
say?
Yeah.
But Yeah, it's just, oh,
It's
wow.
so
So,
true.
and I suspect, Laura, that, I mean, well, clearly this was not easy for your parents. So how did they navigate this with you? Because they too were sadness and they had all of this, it shouldn't be this way. So how did they navigate that with you in a way that allowed you to just not sit in the pit of despair?
So I'm going to start by telling one, like, what I think is hilarious to me story, and that'll perfectly illustrate what we did not do and then what they did. And again, because I don't want to paint this rosy picture, oh my gosh, it was all perfect. It's a cute little family. So I actually had a therapist one time ask me, "Oh, so tell me about the moment that you all sat down together and grieved this together. And how did you support them in their grief?"
What?
And I was like, I called my best friend and I was like, "Oh my God, like, you have to laugh with me slash cry with me slash cuss with me." Are you serious? Like, number one, I'm a teenager, so I don't have the strength to support my parents as they grieve. And number two, there was no family conversation about our collective grief. Here's what did happen again, and I share that to say it's real time life. So I want to take the pressure off anyone grieving or going through change, listening to this. It's not this perfect family conversation of, "Oh, honey, we're all grieving. Let's hold hands and sing kumbaya," right?
It's grieving time, family.
Yeah, exactly. We're gonna have 15 minutes of grieving time on Friday night and eat pizza together, right? Here's what it really looked like. It looked like, as we always talked about, I'm saying, "No, I'm fine." It looked like my mom getting her own therapist and going to see her therapist just for her personally, how do I grieve? How do I grieve myself while also having a child grieving? It looked all like my parents deeply, deeply, deeply leaning on their faith and our faith leaders in our church, them both depending on them and leaning on them. It looked like them just in their own way acknowledging this is so hard. I don't know why this is happening, but we have to figure out the now. So it looked like each of us having our own avenues of therapist and spirituality to navigate through. So again, I only start by sharing that hilarious situation because I don't want people to walk away from this thing. "Oh, they grieved as a cute little family." They had, like you said, grieving time. No, I grieved by saying, "I don't need a therapist." My mom grieved by going to a therapist. My dad grieved by leaning on spiritual leaders and mentors. And also, his way of grieving was saying, "Okay, what actions can I do to help her?"
Hmm.
And my brother grieved by being a mean older brother.
Yeah,
But
which is
truly,
great.
that was his empowerment. I say that jokingly, but truly, that was his empowerment. Him empowering me was him grieving in a healthy way.
Yeah, absolutely. So, can you talk a little bit about the uncertainty? Because I mean, our brains so desperately want certainty. So even when you were diagnosed, and I mean, you still don't know what specifically
Right.
um the disease is, but you were told, okay, you'll lose your sight at some point, or your parents were told that you would lose your
Right.
sight at some point. Even thinking at that moment, oh, it'll be in her 40s or her 60s. I can only imagine how I mean, I can't imagine how your parents
Right.
felt in that. And then for it to happen earlier on and to think, okay, wait, today I can't open my locker. Just navigating that uncertainty just in life in general
Mhm.
is hard because we want to have this, our brain wants certainty. And then for you to live
Yes.
through the uncertainty you lived through, how did you navigate that uncertainty? And I don't even know, I have no expectation, regarding how you'll answer this because I
Yeah.
think you have in various ways, but just how did you survive the uncertainty, you and your parents?
Alright, I wanna make it very, very clear, the uncertainty continues. I still live every single day in a world without sight. So there was no ending to the uncertainty. So I say that to say for anyone listening and your situation, all whatever it is, the uncertainty continues, or you don't know when the uncertainty is going to be over. That's my lived experience. The only thing I can control is my response to what happened. I cannot control that I'm a blind person in a sighted world sitting here today talking to you. What I can control is how I respond to that.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I deal with the uncertainty. Everything is uncertain, everything is scary. What I can control is how I respond to that uncertainness. There comes my
Yeah.
Southern. I don't have proper English.
You have spoken
How?
grammatically correct this whole time, to my
Oh,
knowledge.
good,
Yes.
good, good, great. Thank you. My mom will be proud as a retired teacher in the South. But that's the only way is to acknowledge the uncertainty. Oh my gosh, this is so scary. And it's even more scary to know the uncertainty is never over. Yet what I can control is the point of your podcast, my mindset.
Mm-hmm.
I can control my mindset. That's how you survive. That's how I've survived the uncertainty.
Oh, that is so good. And accepting to some degree that, oh, right, life is uncertain. All of it.
Yes. Again, it goes back to your beach ball analogy. When I keep pushing that beach ball down, oh yeah, this is fine. I'm good. I got it under control. No, sister, just say this life is totally uncertain and you don't today and you won't ever. What you do have control over is your mindset.
Yeah. Do you feel like I know you didn't just flip a switch and suddenly you were, oh, I accept, it's fine now. But how do you okay, when we don't accept certain things, it's exhausting. We're trying to shove those beach balls down. It's
Mhm.
exhausting. We like to tell ourselves it's not. But
Yes.
when you got to a point when you were fighting the uncertainty less, when you were more accepting, how did that
Mhm.
change your level of exhaustion and just your total outlook on life?
I can't even put it into words, and it's going to sound like I'm exaggerating and being like a dramatic teenager right now. But again, I mean this very literal. I mean, I would sleep 12 hours a day and feel absolutely exhausted and could go right back to bed an hour later. I was so emotionally overwhelmed, and the uncertainty was physically crushing me, and my digestion was horrible. Everything was off. I couldn't get enough rest. Once I could get to the place where I could stop pushing that beach ball down and say, yes, this is really uncertain and this is really scary. And this just is what it is. I have to figure out how to navigate through it. Then it was like, oh, after 8 hours, I feel good.
Right.
Is this what it is? You people feel like to have energy? Like, truly, I was shocked by what energy felt like. I was like, "Oh, wow. You mean you people, like, wake up after 8 hours?" Like, I my digestion got better. I just my overall just energy. I mean, I had so much more physical stamina because I wasn't that mental exhaustion. And true story, I talked to someone that I was working with on Tuesday, just a few days ago, and she said, "Laura, I was absolutely exhausted because I heard the emotional grief process, the loss that she's going through right now." And she said, everyone around me, they should have been exhausted because, they had been doing physical activity for hours. I was more exhausted than they were. What's wrong with
Mm.
me? And I said, absolutely nothing. You're normal. And I'm sure she was ready to fire me at that point. She's, what do you mean I'm normal? I just said I was more tired than they were. And I said, it was the mental exhaustion. And once I named it for her, her next comment was, oh my gosh, you're right. I did think about that, but I thought I thought I should not be feeling
Mm,
that way. That was literally her comment. And I didn't make that conversation up on AI for this conversation. Like, that was a real conversation. She was like, "Oh, yeah, I did think that, but I thought I should not feel that way."
it's so fascinating, isn't it? How we come up with these shoulds and no one actually tells us. I mean, there are
Right,
times that people tell us
right.
what we should and shouldn't think or do or whatever. But for the most part, we come up with them ourselves.
Yes,
Like
yes,
there's this authority
yes.
somewhere that determines
Authority.
what should and shouldn't be. Like, oh,
Right,
I shouldn't feel tired because of my mental What? What?
right, right.
And when we stop and just kind of name it, it so often sounds we realize how ridiculous it is. It just takes
Yes,
like sharing that with somebody and
yes,
and just getting out of our own head.
yes,
Okay, so
yes.
Laura, I cannot tell you what an inspiration you are. This is just fabulous. So I'd love to know, I'd love for everyone to know who who can work with you. How do people contact you? How do people find you to learn more about you and to be even more inspired?
So the best place is my website. laurabratton.com has all the resources on the speaking, the coaching, purchasing the book, connecting on email, on LinkedIn. Please go there to connect. I would love, love, love to hear just how you've used gratitude and how you use grit to navigate through, because life is really, really hard for all of us, regardless of sight, no sight. We all go through major change at different times in different ways.
I love that. We did not even talk about your book. Please share at least a little bit about your book.
So it's called Harnessing Courage, and the subtitle is Overcoming Adversity with Grit and with Gratitude. And the point of the book is to offer and present and honestly give people permission to use the resource of grit and use the resources of gratitude to navigate through their change. It is not, I want to make it very clear, it is not a 1, 2, 3 in 6 weeks, in 21 days, you'll be happy forever. And your uncertainty will be over. It is not a self-help timeline. It is a resource guide. And it has been incredibly empowering to get feedback to say, as I was dealing with the suicide of my child, as I was dealing of, my spouse that died of cancer, as I was dealing with, my child addiction. I mean, I've had so every different situation, people have said to me, I've been able to apply these resources and they helped. So again, it circles back to the email I got last week. It's not about my experience in the blindness. It's about what I've learned to navigate through that can empower all of us as we go through our change.
I love that you refer to grit and gratitude as resources. They're not just these soft words that
Yes.
just kind of that swirl through our mind. It's something we can use, and it's not no matter what the challenges in life, nothing is one and done. It's not, oh, I love how you
Right.
said 21 days to a grief free happy life. Like, no, I mean, happiness and feeling aliveness, all these things in life require contrast. And we don't live in a
Ongoing. Yeah.
constant state
Right.
of just bliss, no matter what we've
Right.
experienced or what we continue
Right.
to experience. So it's not 21 days, it's more like 33, right?
A
Laura, I'm
life.
I'm totally kidding.
Yeah, it's not 21, it's 48.
48, because 21, that's ridiculous. Let's
That's
double
ridiculous,
that.
but 48 days totally gets you there. A life free of uncertainty.
A life of certainty. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. Thank you for sure. I could keep you on here for several hours. I'm like, oh yeah, let's talk about the book. That's significant. Okay, so Laura, what would current version of Laura tell younger version of Laura? And I'm sure you have a list, right? But what things would you like to share?
The main number one advice that I would give her and that I would also give to every single person listening is know that you are enough. And when you do not believe tailored or connected to that, when we don't believe we're enough, believe or not even believe, because that for me in high school, I didn't notice those people around you that when you do not believe in you, they believe in you. They believe you're enough. That's what I would definitely say to younger Laura. And that's what I'd say to everyone listening. You are enough because you're you.
Oh, that's so good. And okay, I have a follow-up question to that. What would you advise people who are trying to help someone else recognize that they're enough?
Okay, can that be a whole nother episode?
Yeah.
Because
Well, yeah,
truly,
just real quick. No, I'm just kidding.
I would love to talk about this in depth. The quick answer is listen, listen, listen. Listen to their pain, listen to their anger, listen to their tears, listen to just when they need to just vent and talk and it really doesn't make any sense and there's not a through line, but they need to be angry and sad and cry all in one 5-minute conversation. Listen, listen, listen. We underestimate the gift of listening.
Mm, yeah, we want to just
We
fix
want to
it.
instantly fix. We want to
Yeah.
instantly fix. And that's important. Before that fixing, we need to listen to each other's pain. Super quick case in point. People always assume when I was in those high school years that I was saying, why? If people had just listened to me, all I was saying was, I can't. I never thought, why me? It was always, I can't. But people don't listen to that. They just say, this is my assumption. And so this is what I assume you're saying. They didn't take the time to listen to say, oh, she's not saying why me. She's saying, I can't.
Oh my gosh, that is such an interesting. It's yeah. It's so interesting that we just automatically project what we think we would be thinking, and we have no idea.
We have no clue. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Laura, this has been fantastic. And I do think, yes, we absolutely need to do another episode on how to help someone in the
Yes.
situation of
Yes,
not
please.
believing.
Because it's taught me so much about how to interact with others.
And
I mean,
that's
I've
what
learned so
that's
much.
a part of what you do now,
Right. Right.
right?
I
And
was
you
going to
learn
say
so
that's,
much.
people give me credit and like, oh, wow, you're so good at what you do. And I'm like, oh, it's only because I'm doing what I wanted to be done.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Wow, you are just such an inspiration, Laura, and I'm so glad we met. And I just am so amazed by you and your story. And I so appreciate all of the wisdom you shared. And um, now clearly it's not that you are glad that things went the way they did, but you appreciate the
Yes.
result.
I'm deeply grateful for the support
Mm-hmm.
and the community that allowed me to start to believe in myself when I did not believe in myself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Love it. Laura, thank you so much. And let's see, I asked you yep, I think I asked all the things. Okay. Well, we will definitely have another episode if you're up for it. And
Yes,
thank
please.
you so
And
much. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead, Laura.
no, I was going to say thank you for this platform because our mindset, we underestimate the power. So thank you for creating this platform. It's so needed. So please keep going.
Thank you for being here, Laura. Fantastic. Okay. Thank you so much, Laura. Thank you, everyone, for being here. I know that you have been inspired by Laura, and I would love for you to share Laura's story and the inspiration that she just oozes with others. So thank you so much. Bye bye.
Thanks so much for listening to the Dash Mindset Podcast. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe on your favorite podcast player, tell your friends, and leave us a review. Follow me on my social media platforms